Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would like to invite everyone to rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, all members are present and accounted for. First item on the agenda is Laker Pride. Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair White. Tonight we will be honoring our spring athletic and activities participants and a variety of their coaches. So I will ask Jeff Marshall to come forward as we do each session or each season. And all of our students and coaches will be given a certificate of recognition, thanking them for their time and participation. And Mr. Marshall, I'll give these with you, and you can distribute them at a later time.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
How do I find it, Martha?
Oh, escape twice.
Escape. Got it. Twice.
One more. Yep.
All right, good evening. Sorry I wasn't quite prepared when I came in here, so we're getting started right away. But good evening, Superintendent Dr. Thomas, Board Chair White, and School Board Directors. It is my honor and privilege to present to you the 2024-25 Spring Activities and Athletics Report, as well as to recognize and honor those students who have qualified for state or achieved tremendous success in their given activities from this past spring season. Before we begin bringing our students in, I wanted to share a few reminders about our Athletics and Activities Department. As you can see here on the first slide, we continue to live by our vision of students experiencing an enjoyable environment of a wide array of co-curricular activities that promote pride, character, sportsmanship, and development of personal and team excellence. With over 75% of our student population participating in some sort of co-curricular activity, this is a testament to the wide array that we offer and the enjoyable experiences our students are having within these sports and activities. As we switch to our next slide, you will see what we use for a definition of success within our programs. While it is always our goal to win in our competitions, when we reflect back on our season, our coaches, advisors, and students should be looking at creating lifelong memories, developing lifelong friendships, and teaching or learning lifelong lessons along the way. In addition, we use the acronym LAKER to define our purpose statement within our department, starting with having our students help develop moral character skills. These are skills that we want our students to learn and display in all aspects of their lives, not just within their sports and activities. Thus, when you look at the acronym, love, appreciation, kindness, empathy, and respect are all skills that our students and adults should reflect on and display in all interactions within and outside of their activities. The performance character skills of legacy, advocacy, knowledge, enthusiasm, and resiliency are skills that we want our students to display specifically within their sport or activity, but certainly would also want these to carry over into other aspects of their lives as well. This next slide shows our participation numbers from the last two spring seasons, so you can see a comparison of where things are at for student involvement. I think it's pretty important to note a few things. Again, very comparable numbers that we have year in and year out. I think the one that's rather interesting is our boys volleyball. We actually see a little bit of a decrease in boys volleyball, but one of the reasons for that was because we had to limit the number of teams that we could offer because we did start to offer it as a Minnesota State High School League sponsored sport this year. Because of that, our expenses grew. The length of the season was a little bit longer, so we weren't able to necessarily bring on as many coaches as we may have had in the past because of some of those additional expenses. Thankfully, we did not have to cut this year, which was really nice though too. So anybody who came out for the boys volleyball team, we fielded 3 levels, and all 3 of those levels were able to compete this year as well too. So now we will specifically start to highlight some of our specific activities and our sports from this spring. This is always the best part, I know, of this meeting. Rather than me talking, we get to see them. We'll start with our activities and our non-MSHSL sports. So first we're going to have our trap and our skeet team members come in. So our trap team and our skeet team shootings are what's called the independent providers within our district. So the district doesn't necessarily sponsor them directly, but we have been able to honor them and recognize them, especially since at the trap level there is an MSHSL state competition that the Minnesota State High School League does sponsor. So this year, our trap MSHSL team finished 7th in the state tournament, and the all-state trap shooters were Will Johnson, Peyton Happy, Weston Thompson, and Sebastian Bullion. So, is that all 5 of you guys? Not quite, right? Who's missing? Just 2 of us here. Just 2 is here. All right. Well, congratulations. Why don't the 2 of you step forward? There you go. Okay. And Coach Conrad here? No. Now, the ski team this year actually repeated as state champs. They were state champs last year, and they came back this year. And that was, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, just a little over 2 weeks ago or so where that occurred. Yep. Finished as skeet state champions. And this year, the all-state skeet shooters were Will Johnson, Peyton Happy, Jason Rush, and Henry Sandow. And the 5 that won the state title were Samantha McDonald, Sebastian Bullion, Will Johnson, Henry Sandow, and Carter Hack. Congratulations. You good with the picture?
I'll do one more with
Okay.
the team together.
As Christy's taking the picture, I do think it's also important to note, Scott Conrad has been the coach of this program for quite some time. He has built up this program tremendously with both the trap and the skeet shooting teams. This past spring, he was actually awarded the Coach of the Year within our programs, which is pretty incredible given the fact that it's an independent provider program. Scott is stepping down this year. He will no longer be coaching after this year, after 16 years, 9 consecutive conference championships, I believe. Or was this the year the 10th one? The 15th? Oh, all right.
Yeah, sorry.
15th year of being consecutive conference champions, which is extremely impressive. So certainly we want to give a big public thank you to Scott as well for coaching the team. And thank you to all of the parents for everything that they have to do in terms of running the organization, the program as an independent provider. And again, congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
I hugged him back there.
Dude, I couldn't have made it 30 seconds.
Next, we'll bring in our speech team. We have 2 different groups of our speech team that we're going to be recognizing. The first group from our speech team is going to be those who qualified for the state tournament this year. The speech team ended up placing 5th as a team at the Class AA state tournament. Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, highest finish ever?
Highest finish ever for the program, yes.
Highest finish ever for the program. And individually, Talia Bushman finished in 2nd place in discussion. Go ahead, Talia, step forward. Stephanie Eber's not with us tonight. She finished in 2nd place in prose. Chloe Erickson and Jaden Nelson finished in 3rd place in duo interpretation. We've got Jaden here. Jones finished in 6th place in poetry, and then also qualifying for the state tournament were Lindsay Madsen, Ingrid Olson, and Wyatt Gillis. And Lindsay is here as well tonight. In addition, we had 8 individuals who qualified for the national tournament, which took place in Des Moines, Iowa. Wonderful place to be able to go to for the national tournament this year. And that happened right after school got out, so early in June. And at that tournament, Mackenzie Bounds finished 6th in the nation in poetry. Mason Bass, who's with us here tonight, finished 11th in the nation in humorous interpretation. Katie Weaver finished 18th in the nation in dramatic interpretation. Chloe Erickson and Jaden Nelson finished 23rd in duo interpretation, and Jaden is here. Qualifying for nationals were Ingrid Olson, Leo Choi, and Lindsay Madsen, and Leo and Lindsay are both here as well. And Leo is holding the NSDA School of Excellence Trophy. This is a trophy that goes to those teams that finish in the top 20 in the nation. First time ever that the Prior Lake speech team has earned this honor, which is a tremendous honor. And certainly it's also a big reflection of Mr. Nick Ingalls, our coach, and the rest of the coaches for the speech team to be able to get them to this level and to be able to have this team compete year in and year out, both at the state and the national level. So congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations, so good.
So we did recognize our DECA students at the winter meeting. At that time, we did have 6 qualifiers who had qualified for the DECA International Championships, which took place down in Orlando. We did not have the results at the time. I do just want to point out that Josh Paskanik was actually a finals qualifier, so he finished in the top 10 in the nation, in the world at the international competition for DECA while he was down there. So again, a public recognition for Josh and for the other 5 students who also qualified for the DECA International competition. We did have, switching over to our Minnesota State High School League sponsored sports, we did have one boys golfer qualify for the state tournament this year, Sean Leutner. This is Sean's second year of qualifying for the state tournament. He finished in 34th. Our coaches were John Halfdahl and Jim Strandemo. I actually believe that Sean is in a tournament right now, and so he is currently on the golf course and was not able to make it here tonight.
All right.
The next team that we're going to recognize is our adapted softball team. So if our adapted softball players want to come on in. Our adapted programs run as a cooperative program. Go on and stand up there, you guys, right in the front. There you go. And with softball, we actually are the host school, and we are in a cooperative sponsorship with Chanhassen, Chaska, and Shakopee. And as the host school, then, this group of softball players play all of their games over at Twin Oaks in Jerebeck Gym. That's where they have their practices as well, too. And Coach Julia has heard me say this many times, but I just need to put a plug in. You are never going to go to a sporting event and see a greater extent of sportsmanship, camaraderie, and pure love for the sport than you're going to find in an adapted sporting event. These athletes are tremendous athletes who care about the sport. They are extremely competitive, but they care about each other and they care about those that they're playing against as well to a level that you have never seen. So for those of you in this room who have never been able to make it to an adapted sporting event, I encourage you to do so. We play adapted soccer in the fall, and that's down at Chanhassen. And in the winter, we are adapted floor hockey. It's just us and Shakopee at Shakopee High School. So, and again, this team actually ended up advancing to the state tournament. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the expectations during the season were necessarily that high. And they came on right at the end, qualified for the state tournament, lost their first game, but ended up winning the next 2 games and finished as consolation champions at the state tournament, which is absolutely incredible. All here tonight, but team members from Prior Lake were C.C. Brudevold, John Conley, Ayub Hussein, George Johnson, Ben Madsen, Rylan Mann, Ella Miller, Dylan Norman, Caleb Schultz, Colin Schultz, and Jackson White. And then our coach is also here, Julia Reese. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations.
Next, we'll have our boys track and field members come in. This year, at the beginning of the season, our boys track and field numbers have been very, very high every year, but you know, we hired a new coach right here. He's doing a fantastic job. Coach Nick Seiler, and the team was young as they came in. And I don't necessarily think that expectations were very high come the end of the season. But when this team went to sections, they finished in 6th place at sections, 7th place at the SSC, but the number of state qualifiers that they ended up having far exceeded anybody's expectations. So 2 of those state qualifiers are here tonight. We have Josh Barless, who finished 23rd in the 110 hurdles. Josh was just a freshman this year. And we also have John Maines. John finished 16th in the pole vault. At the conference meet, John also tied the school record for the pole vault as well, too. So congratulations, John. At the tournament, Garrett Wood also finished 14th in the pole vault. Ethan Beckman finished 5th in the shot put. Brogan Enkfer finished 16th in the discus. Jason Hadar finished 26th in the discus. And the 4x400 relay of Austin Krieger, Griffin Nordrum, Aiden Binda, and Jackson Zeeb finished in 18th overall. So again, a fantastic season for this young group of track and field stars who came out. And we expect really big things coming for next year. So nice job, guys.
Josh.
Nice try.
Your mom would have.
That's right.
Next up, we'll have our girls track and field members come in.
No girls track.
Oh, no girls track, unfortunately. Shoot. But girls track this year, they ended up winning the conference championship by 1 point over Lakeville South. It was 121 to 120, which was just an amazing feat for them to be conference champs. You can see on the slide those who qualified for state. They finished 2nd at the section meet, and similar to swimming, you only qualify for state in track and field and swimming as individuals. You don't qualify as a team at all. But for them to have the number of qualifiers that they had, and for them to be able to get 3 different relays in, which will be, the more relays you get in, the more individuals who get to participate, was very exciting. So again, another really exciting year for our girls track and field program, for them to finish as conference champs and 2nd at the section tournament. Next, we'll have our synchronized swimmers come on in. This year, our synchronized swimming team finished in 8th place at the state tournament, with 9 routines qualifying for state and 6 of them placing at the state tournament. Hannah Evavold was 3rd in short figures and 4th in the short solo. Jasmine Duhadway was 6th in the extended solo. Peyton Hanna and Rachel Vegdahl were 7th in the short duet. And the short team of Shrija Bajracharya, Harper Cawley, Annabella Dang, Peyton Hanna, and Rachel Vegdahl finished 7th. And the long team of Caleb Arnett, Hannah Evavold, Elizabeth McNair, Jenna Pettis, Kara Petrie, Sophia Suarez, and Tessa Westland finished in 6th place. Jasmine Duhadway also earned the Academic All-State Award this year. And also qualifying was a short trio team of Shrija, Harper Cawley, and Annabella Dang, and a long trio team of Sophia Suarez, Clay Hilzendegger, and Hannah Evavold, and a long trio team of Caleb Arnett, Kara Petrie, and Tessa Westland. So congratulations to all of our fantastic Our team, by the way, is coached by our head coach, Carrie Kabushek, and her sister, Kelly Thomas, who is our assistant coach, and they've done an absolutely amazing job with the program over the last couple of years. So congratulations to all of you. All right, come on in, girls. This is it. Well, that's all right, because
There's no time off.
we know there is no time off in the sport of girls lacrosse. And one of the things that I know that many of the girls players are doing right now are actually coaching in our youth program. My own daughter has a game over at Edina tonight. She plays on the 12UB team. 2 of the players that were on this team, or at least one, is coaching over there. So I just cannot say enough absolutely amazing things about our girls lacrosse program. The success that they have on the field is uncharted. But when you look at the things that they do besides the success that they have in the field in terms of giving back to the program, that is why year in and year out, this team continues to have the success that they do. The culture from 6U all the way up to the high school program, there's no other program out there that is similar to the culture that this program has been created. And that truly is a testament to our head coach, Heather Pearson. Heather is involved at every level of the girls lacrosse program. Heather is the one that brings these girls on to be able to participate at the young level, to be able to volunteer and to help out those lower levels. And I've seen it as a parent, you know, and to know that my daughter is in such good hands from a coaching perspective and from the older girls that she looks up to is absolutely incredible. So this year, the team went 19-0. Never happened in Prior Lake history. They finished the regular season a perfect 13-0, and the closest game was 4 goals, 5 goals during that time. 4 goals, and that was still Lakeville, Edina. That's right. Went into sections, ran through sections, beating Edina again in the section championship game. Went into the state tournament as the #1 seed, and you know, obviously you've got a target on your back when you go in there as the #1 seed. And the way that these girls handled themselves and the coaching staff handled themselves throughout that state tournament was so impressive because not only, again, did they compete unbelievably well in the field and dominate all of their opponents, but they did it with pride and dignity and respect for all of those around them. The comments that we get from other coaches and other programs, and maybe most importantly, officials, is truly one of how positive and how much they appreciate everything that our girls do in terms of their graciousness, their gratitude that they show. So again, this starts at the top, and it is truly something that is absolutely unbelievable from Heather all the way down through, all the way to our U8 girls who are out there are experiencing the same type of thing. So again, knowing that there's only 2 here, I do want to go through, and I am going to introduce all the roster as well so that they know that. So again, Heather's here as our head coach. Also coaches were Jessica Jurovich, Katie Polson-McCannon, Megan McGowan, Haley Hartledge, and Grace Maddox. On the team this year, we had senior Sophia Basile, junior Ava Clausen, junior Brittany Pinkowski, junior Lexi Brannon, junior Lucy Jones, junior Malaya Green, freshman Holly Baressa, senior Tally Balzicki, freshman Quinlan Lehrman, senior Madeline Sazama, junior Brianna Roberts, senior Emerson Maddox, sophomore Madeline Ballou, sophomore Taylor Sweet, senior Lauren Knutson, senior Chrissy Sabby, senior Lauren Jonas, senior Abby Grove, junior Annika Meyer, junior Keely Moling, senior goalie Addie Christensen, junior Ava Clevin, and junior Whitney Furseth. So again, congratulations to all of you here. Congratulations to those of you watching on truly, again, an absolutely perfect season.
Congratulations.
Director Marshall, if I could just, I'm just going to take 2 seconds here on a personal note. I've known Heather since she was a little kid. She grew up playing basketball with my daughter, and I don't want to get so emotional, but I am. To see her life get poured into, and then as an adult, turn around and do that for kids is really about all you can ask for. So congratulations, Heather. I'm super proud of you.
So good.
So I encourage you to take a look at the slides that are in this presentation. We always add pictures of some of the different accomplishments. You can see here, we've got our state champions, girls lacrosse. We've got our golfer. Abby Grove, who was not here, was the player of the year. She didn't earn the Miss Lacrosse Award, but she was the Star Tribune Player of the Year and the Coaches Association Player of the Year as well, too. Again, number of school records, section runner-up for our track program. We've got our synchronized swimmers here, a group of our boys lacrosse seniors who are there, our softball players who are huddled up in a circle, our girls golfers who are there. There's Ethan throwing the shot put at the state tournament. We got our skeet shooters down in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see our adapted softball team getting their consolation championship trophy as well. But I do want to point out just one final piece in terms of our activities. Okay, as you all know, activities don't end when summer starts. You know, if you were to go up to the high school right now, well, probably not right now, but certainly any morning or almost any evening during the week, the place is extremely busy. There's a lot that's happening. But two specific things that I want to point out. One is our marching band. Our marching band has probably been in, I believe, 2 parades so far this year, with 3 more to go, with kind of that highlight being every year they do a parade that's at the state fair, which is absolutely amazing. And often they have to go right from the state fair parade to the first home football game to be able to play that night. Now, that's not the case this year, but that was the case last year. So they are practicing and they are in those parades throughout the course of the summer. The other one, and I'm proudly wearing my shirt here tonight, was for those of you who went to Lakefront Music Festival last weekend, you saw that 25 of our students who are involved in choir actually got to get up on stage and sing backup to legendary Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Foreigner. And for them to have that experience, to be able to do that, was just incredible. So I just really wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to both our band and our choir for the work that they're also putting in this summer and the accomplishments that they've had. So again, lastly, we just continue to be so grateful. One of the things that we preach through our Laker Leaders program, which is all of our captains and our leaders, is servant leadership. How can we give back to our teams? How can we give back to our school? How can we give back to our community? And one of the reasons you do that is by showing that gratitude and by being grateful. We could not do this alone. Our coaches, our advisors, our athletes, our students could not do this on their own. The support that they receive from their parents, from teachers and administrators, from the office staff, school board members who are here. Many of you have students currently or in the past who have participated in our programs. Our custodial staff, sometimes they're some of our biggest supporters coming to those events, and they're cheering them on. All of our community members. And then I just really, at the end of the year, need to highlight the activities office in particular. So the other 3 women who I work with day in and day out are absolutely incredible women who keep the programs and everything that we have going on in the office going on a daily basis. So a big public thank you to all of you for the support that you have given our co-curricular programs, and thank you again to allow us to be able to share and to be able to present these students here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jim.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Chair White, for giving me a chance to speak. I feel like I needed to say, I appreciated what you said about the lacrosse coach, Heather. And I didn't share, my son was part of the trap team since 8th grade, and I just couldn't express more the gratitude. And I love how you wrap that up, Jeff. It truly is. The programs that are run through Prior Lake High School are incredible, and the teams and the coaches, and no one can do it on their own. So when the trap and skeet team were here, out of respecting my son and not embarrassing him, I didn't get up and hug him. I wanted to so bad, so I hugged him out in the hallway instead. But I just really wanted to say thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just add, I think a big thank you to you, Mr. Marshall. I mean, I've seen you as my son has participated in many different events throughout the year, and I see you there. You and your team are some of the hardest working individuals, and this program wouldn't be what it is without you. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Next on the agenda is the Superintendent's Report. Dr. Thomas.
Thank you. And I was going to also just echo what Director Atkinson said. Coach Marshall, Jeff Marshall, you're one of the best, and so thank you for your leadership and all your support. You're at everything. I don't know how you keep it together, and at your own kids' sports too. So thank you for your leadership in that space, and our students and our staff love you to death. So appreciate you. Yeah, just a couple of quick things tonight. I do want to share that the advanced placement scores were newly released, and again, bringing some outstanding news for our students at the high school. Some of you who were on the board a couple years ago know that we did a report and we saw the continued increase of students who are taking AP courses at the high school. And I'll say that rivals anything with PSEO. I will invite our families and our students to consider looking at AP before leaving campus, because I think that's where it's at, and a lot of opportunity for our kids to do outstanding work as well as get college credit. For the 24-25 school year, Parr Lake High School not only continued to increase in student participation in AP courses, but also improved the percentage of students earning scores of 3, 4, or 5. Those are scores that often translate into earned college credit. All 23 AP courses that we offer at the high school averaged a score of a 3 or a higher, demonstrating a very consistent and high-quality experience for our students across every AP subject area. And just from a point of reference, giving you the past 4 years, in 2021, we had 60 students participate, about 481 students, and they achieved scores of 3, 4, or 5. In 2022, we increased to 73%, which was about 548 students, again, commensurate scores. 2023, 74% of our students, equating to about 587 students. 2024, 80%, which is 710 students, and then just recently, in 2025, 82% or 771 students, again, all achieving scores of 3, 4, or 5. So again, thank you to all of our staff, our administration, and also a big shout out to our kids who are busting their tails to do extremely well in those AP courses. So congrats to all those students for their hard work and dedication, our staff there. So shout out to you all there. It's been a busy summer, as always, with a variety of events, whether it's some of the parades that Jeff mentioned and some of the other opportunities that our kids are involved in, but also our staff. So I want to say a big thank you to all of our staff, some of you on the board as well, that volunteered with Dan Patch Days. Thankfully, we had much better weather. We have not had luck these past couple of years, so weather gods were with us this year. Also, just want to put out a reminder to our staff that, and the board, that we have a sign-up genius is sent out for Prior Lake Days. That's taking place August 9th. And we're looking for folks to just fill 1 hour slot. That's it, just a 1 hour slot this time. You don't have to stay for a half day and give up your entire Saturday. So you can still have plenty of time to do whatever it is you need to do. But love to see some new faces and volunteers coming out to Prior Lake Days on August 9th. Which is going to be right downtown where they have the farmers market. And then also gearing up for our back to school celebration, our second annual, beginning August 18th. We are already seeing the anticipated larger scale of event. And I also want to make sure that I share this publicly. We will ensure that we have ample parking and appropriate parking for those who need assisted parking. So I want to share that we had some trucks that were blocking off some of the handicap spots, so we'll be more mindful of that. So I just want to own that up front. We've taken that into consideration. But it's going to be a bigger event, and I'm sure a lot more participation. And our own Justin in IT will be our in-house DJ, as always. So thank you, Justin, in advance. So if you have any music requests, get those in. But looking forward to that, August 18th. And then also be looking for a sign-up to come out for our annual Night to Unite, August 5th. It's always a great opportunity for us to connect with community. I know we usually get a bus, and we'll take the bus around to various neighborhood parties. And it's always just a great way to connect with our community. And kids always love getting on a bus, and we have a lot of trinkets to hand out to the neighborhood parties as well. So stay tuned for that. And then lastly, Jeff put it out there with Lakefront Music Fest. What a great opportunity. I don't think our kids really understood and can appreciate standing on stage with Foreigner, the 1980s band, the era of high top fades, Aquanet, and blue eyeshadow, right? I mean, anybody else understand that? So it was, those were the days, right? And to have our students on stage to sing I Want to Know What Love is just something magical. So huge shout out to our kids, and thank you for whoever helped set that up. And from what I understand, and I'll kind of give a shout out to Foreigner, they do this wherever they go on tour. So they always tap into a local high school group to make sure that they invite them on stage. So I'm glad that our students were that lucky to be able to do that. So those are my updates.
All right.
Chair White.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. We have no proclamations this evening, so next on the agenda is the open forum. This is a 15-minute period of time set aside to receive citizen input. We have 5 speakers tonight, and we'll start with Katie Gabriel.
Good evening, my name is Katie Gabriel. I use she, her pronouns, and I have 2 students in the district. The board views the work of the district through the lens of the strategic plan, including the strategic priority of positive learning environments, fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and safe environment. You recently sunsetted the board's equity resolution, stating that work on equity and inclusion does not only lie in a resolution. It is work that is done day in and day out with teachers and staff. Yes, ideally this work takes place in the classroom, at home, in extracurriculars, and at the board table. The Minnesota State High School League membership is on the consent agenda for this evening. 2 years ago, this item was pulled for further discussion by a current board member using their seat at the table as a platform for political anti-trans rhetoric based in bigotry. Participation and eligibility of transgender student athletes is determined by the Minnesota Human Rights Act and the Minnesota Constitution. As you all are dedicated to creating a welcoming, inclusive, and safe environment for our students, I know you care that LGBTQ+ students are at a higher risk of self-harm and suicide than their peers. 46% of transgender and non-binary youth have seriously considered attempting suicide this past year. They are placed at higher risk because of how they are mistreated and stigmatized in society. This statistic is greatly reduced when they are shown acceptance and support by adults in their community. Participation in organized sports has the same positive benefits for transgender and non-binary youth as it does for all youth, including physical and mental health benefits. A U of M study showed that about 2.7% of Minnesota high school students identified as transgender or non-binary, and only about 12% of that 2.7% play organized sports. That's approximately 0.3% of all Minnesota high school students. It looks like our transgender and non-binary students are at greater risk from harmful comments at the board table and lack of acceptance and support from our community than the perceived risk they face from a small number of transgender students participating on sports teams. So you don't need the equity resolution in order to carry out the strategic plan? Prove it this evening through your actions. If this item is pulled for further discussion, I expect to see the board immediately shut down any remarks rooted in bigotry, targeting some of our most marginalized students. I know you will agree that this type of rhetoric is not to be tolerated, and trust that you will take immediate action to shut it down. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ryan Parr.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. This is my first time at a school board meeting. I am representing another person that has the same views that I do about what I'm about to say. Hello, my name is Ryan Parr. I'll start the easy way. I am a resident of Prior Lake, a parent, taxpayer, and stakeholder in this district, and neighbor of Charles Johnson. Back in May, a member of the school board made false claims and derogatory comments on their official school board director Facebook page. I don't think that was wise. A post that was publicly critical of a district administration started off with the closure of a school. In this thread, this board member went on saying progressive education ideologies were to blame for lower enrollment, wrongly defining progressive education by tying it to be a political ideology of progressive politics. To clarify, progressive education is a learning through doing model of teaching and has nothing to do with partisan politics of any kind. In this discussion, this board member said the following to a district parent, and this is a direct quote. This includes equity, I'm quoting quote, based programs, the dumbing down of our society, including removing advanced math courses, equity grading, non-exclusionary discipline, radical and divisive ethnic studies, transformative SEL, transformative sex education, hiding information from parents, and last but not least, an alphabet soup of genders. I love alphabet soup. I didn't know it came in genders. Now I need to find where I can buy them. Again, I'd like to remind that this was from their official Facebook school board director page, presumably therefore speaking as a district representative. I have 3 points to add to that. 1, equity grading, transformative SEL, and transformative sex education do not currently exist in this district. 2, non-exclusionary discipline is limited legally by the state. 3, calling the LGBTQ plus community an alphabet soup of genders is disrespectful at best and bigoted at most, and at worst, where can I get this alphabet soup? If a teacher or administrator has made these remarks as a district representative, they no doubt would have been disciplined. Many emails have been written to the board about this incident, and no one has heard back. Except for a response of, we are a self-governing board. I understand you are a self-governing board. These are the things you need to take into heart as this is what's real and this is what's happening right now. And I trust you as someone who has children in your district to do this correctly and with empathy and seriously. This following month, the member in question voted to sunset equity and inclusion resolution, citing it was divisive, and this board member is voting on a new set of board ethics guidelines that will furthermore shield this board member and make comments like these allowable. I didn't, in my whole career, I wish I knew I could make my own governing rules. That's amazing. You have an amazing opportunity to make great things happen. You can make great things happen.
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes are up about a minute ago. Can you conclude?
The changes to the ethics guidelines do not increase transparency. They shield members from having to take accountability for their words and actions. However, I leave it to you with the council and my neighbor. Your children are wonderful. They're at the bus stop with my children. We're on the different sides of the aisle, but I'd do anything to protect your children. And because they're lovely. And all of our children are wonderful, and they deserve the best district we can offer them. As collectively, you as a board, you as the superintendent, we as parents. That's all I have to add.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kelly Mopin.
Good evening, Dr. Thomas, Chair White, school board directors, and members of the community. My name is Kelly Mopin. I'm a parent of 2 students at Prior Lake High School, a district resident, and a member of the Policy Advisory Committee. I'm here tonight to share my concern about how Policy 904 was handled, particularly how the input from the Policy Advisory Committee was represented during the June 16th study session. To be clear, the PAC does not approve policies. Our role is to review proposed policy changes and provide feedback to the board. At our May meeting, Policy 904 was the primary focus of discussion. While one of the 7 committee members present expressed support for the proposed changes, the other 6, including myself, shared serious concerns. We questioned how the changes would affect staff morale, the safety and inclusion of marginalized students, and whether this policy was the best use of district time and resources given other pressing needs. We also discussed the scope of the policy. The version we reviewed applied to materials posted by non-school individuals. At no point did we agree that the policy should expand to govern what teachers and staff can post in their classrooms. In fact, we were clear. Any updates involving staff-posted materials should be part of a new or separate policy and returned to the PAC for further review. Despite that, the version presented during the study session still included those expanded restrictions, language the committee never saw or discussed. And more concerning was the implication that the committee had fully supported the revised version. That simply is not true and misrepresents both the tone and outcome of our meeting. It's also important to note that Policy 904 had already been reviewed and approved just last year. It was not scheduled for review at this time. The process by which it was brought forward was unclear, and that lack of transparency is troubling, especially when it results in major changes being introduced without full community awareness. Additionally, the board's own process calls for a first reading and discussion before moving to a second reading and vote. That step is important, not just as procedure, but as a way to invite reflection, questions, and public input. When that process is skipped or rushed, it undermines trust in the board's work. This issue is bigger than one policy. It's about the value placed on committee input, the importance of following established procedures, and the commitment to honest, transparent decision-making. When those expectations aren't met, it damages public trust. I respectfully urge the board to revisit Policy 904 with integrity by accurately reflecting the PAC's input, following proper procedures, and ensuring the community's voice is truly heard. Thank you.
Next speaker is Emily Gillespie.
Good evening. My name is Emily Gillespie. I am a Savage resident, parent of 2 Lakers, and also a member of the district's Policy Advisory Committee. And I will be also speaking tonight, sharing my perspective as another member of that committee. I am here to speak about Policy 904 and the importance of transparency and trust in how we develop policies in this district. Policy 904 covers distribution of information on school district property by non-school persons and employees. At our May PAC meeting, we spent 90 minutes discussing this policy. Multiple PAC members raised serious concerns about staff morale, potential chilling effects on expression, the impact on marginalized students, the amount of time being spent on signage when we are facing more pressing challenges as a district, and the fact that the corresponding MSBA model policy, which this board has been vocal about following, covers only non-school persons and not employees. By the end of the meeting, the PAC was aligned. The only change we supported moving forward was to add the process steps for how concerns can be raised. All other proposed changes, especially those limiting what teachers and staff can post, were to be set aside with the understanding that any future updates related to employee speech would be considered for a different policy or a new policy, which would come back to the PAC for review. So I was surprised to see the version presented at the June 16th study session. It included restrictions we had agreed to leave out and added new language giving the school board, not the superintendent, final decision-making authority in cases of disagreement. This change was not even in the policy that the PAC reviewed, and I would ask whether it is truly the work of the board to police signage in the schools. Even more concerning was that the PAC's board representatives didn't share any of the PAC's discussion or input with the full board. Instead, it was suggested that the PAC supported the updated policy, which is simply not accurate. In the June 16th study session, a board member stated that while there were opposing voices in the PAC regarding the Policy 904 update, there were also supportive voices. I want to clarify that out of the 7 PAC members, not including the board representatives, who attended the May 15th meeting, there was only 1 committee member who supported the updates. I understand that the PAC is an advisory committee and the board isn't required to follow our recommendations, but the purpose of the PAC is to offer guidance to the district, and we can't do that when the PAC's input is misrepresented at the board table. PAC input should be conveyed fully and accurately at board meetings, especially when it differs from what's being presented for a vote. In your discussion tonight, I ask that you proceed with full transparency about the PAC's concerns, and going forward, I ask you to act with integrity in making sure that the community's input is meaningfully included in decisions that shape the environment in our schools. Thank you.
And our final speaker this evening is Richard Wolf.
Thank you. My name is Richard Wolf, and I'm from Savage, Minnesota. And as you may know, I'm a former school board member and had the honor to serve as chair for 2 of those years. So I speak with experience. I'm not pleased to be here, but I'm strongly here to voice my opinion and opposition to your sunsetting the equity and inclusion resolution. One reason given was that since the resolution's inception, this resolution has not improved test scores. You demonstrated no serious analysis of the test score situation, and that reason is weak as affecting test scores. The second reason stated was that new strategic plan would cover the concepts detailed in the resolution. But your strategic plan as documented is just a bunch of educational word salad statements and is not a plan. And lastly, it was stated it was divisive. You obviously didn't consult with teachers, principals, or any parent groups. It was not discussed at any study session, and it just sprung on the public after the school year was ended when you thought no one would notice. What I saw in the boardroom that night was a packed room full of folks asking you to reconsider your action. I did not see anybody present that was in favor of sunsetting the resolution. So your reasoning for the sunsetting was sloppy and divides this district even more. It was known in advance that this board wanted to get rid of the resolution, and I would have more respect for the board if you would have just come out and stated the reason you got rid of the resolution was for your own personal political beliefs in place of the weak reasoning that was offered that night. What you don't seem to understand is that learning and development takes place in order for it to take place, one has to meet students where they are at in their educational journey. Diversity is this country's superpower. Diverse teams or groups of people function better, come to breakthroughs better, and are more innovative and increases discovery and breakthroughs in learning. But I believe there's a much larger issue for this board under the concept of school governance. This board has claimed transparency, but your actions have demonstrated otherwise. But tonight, you are continuing a troubling trend. Tonight, it appears you are changing Ethics Policy 209 to remove the idea that a board member should recognize the integrity of their fellow board members, and the members do not have to appreciate or respect each other's work. It also appears you're removing Policy 203.7, the school board member violation of policy. So there's no way for the board to hold any fellow member in check to ensure proper governance. Ethics policy without accountability is just wishful thinking. I'll be quick here. And makes any accountability toothless, and we all know that without accountability, corruption soon follows. You spent considerable time discussing policy changes requested from one board member on Policy 904 to remove the administrative duty so you can micromanage what teachers hang in their classrooms. What concerns me the most is that directors, with 3 executive directors leaving, you're cutting teachers, You're cutting millions of dollars from budgets, and you're closing schools, but you want to micromanage what teachers display in their classrooms. You members on the current board have displayed a certain level of dysfunction that does not portend for good things in the future. Good governance relies on honesty, integrity, truthfulness, and character. These traits are not gained by wearing a uniform on a political ad or telling yourself good things while you sit in a pew on a Sunday morning. These qualities are earned by your behavior. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Being a member on the school board is an honorable and worthy service to the public and should not allow individuals to install personal beliefs. The board has difficult decisions ahead of you about the future of children who walk through our schoolhouse doors. The parents put their trust in public schools to educate their children to succeed in this great nation. As a board, you may have to ask for the public help in future referendums to achieve that goal. I believe this board's behavior in the past and with your expected actions tonight, you have demonstrated that you are not up to the task of good governance for this district. You have decided personal agendas outweigh proper oversight of this district. And while you have lost my confidence that you can lead with proper school governance, you have a much larger problem. You have lost the most valuable asset you have. That is the faith and the trust of the public, including the teachers, the parents, and the children who rely on you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you to all the speakers. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda and make item 15A1, policy 904, and move that from a second reading to a first reading. We never actually discussed 904 at the last meeting. We discussed its whether or not it should have been at the table, but we never actually discussed the content of the proposed policy. So I would entertain a motion to amend that to a first reading for tonight's meeting purposes.
I second that. Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So made.
By Director Bullion,
Second.
second by Director Mason. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Can we get discussion, please? Point of
Yes, you
order.
may.
I'd like to make a motion to amend, or I'd like to amend the motion to move policy 209, 212, and 215 up to 15A, as we spent a significant amount of time discussing them at our last board meeting. And I was under the assumption, if you go back and watch the video, it was clear that there was board direction that these would be voted on this evening.
Is there a motion to,
I have a point of information.
point of information?
I don't understand the motion.
I'm asking to amend the motion to approve the agenda and move policy 209, 212, and 215 up to, sorry, my screen's jiggling. Up to the second reading, correct. Yep, up to 15A, which is the second and final reading. As, like I said, if you go back and watch the school board meeting, it was requested that these policies, we spent a significant amount of time. Unlike 904, we did spend a significant amount of time reviewing these policies at our last study session, and I was under the assumption, if you watch the video, that we were going to be voting on these this evening.
So is there a motion to suspend, or I'm sorry, to move policies 209, 12, and 15, is that correct?
Yeah, I made the motion to amend the motion, so we need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
5-2. Motion carries 5-2. So we have a motion and a second on the table to approve the agenda as amended. If there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-2. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. These are items that are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as submitted?
So made.
By Director France, second.
Second.
By Director Johnson. Discussion?
Can we pull off H, approval of memberships, MSHSL, please, for further discussion?
All right, we will approve the consent agenda then minus the vote on membership of the Minnesota State High School League.
And where will that be placed?
I will place that right before number 11. So, I'm sorry, right before the milk and bread contract extensions. Right after we vote on the memberships minus the MSHSL. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And I will now entertain a motion to approve the membership in the Minnesota State High School League. Is there a motion to accept membership in the High School League by Director Johnson? Second?
Second.
By Director France. Discussion?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Marshall, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Mr. Marshall, I have read the MSHSL contract and MSHSL policies, and my concern is that nowhere in our agreement or in their policies does it state that member districts are to follow Title IX. Currently, MSHSL is under investigation by the U.S. Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and currently has a lawsuit against them by Female Athletes United for allowing biological males to compete in female sports in the state of Minnesota, which violates Title IX, which is federal law.
No signs in the boardroom, please. That is a standard rule. No signs. Thank you.
Let me just, let me go back since I was interrupted. Department of Human Health Services currently has a lawsuit against them by Female Athletes United for allowing biological males to compete in female sports in the state of Minnesota, which violates Title IX, which is federal law. So my question is, if we sign this MSHSL contract, can we include an addendum stating that we agree to the contract renewal, but to protect our female athletes and our districts from future litigation risk, that we will follow Title IX? So can we write an addendum into the contract?
My understanding is no. The contract comes with with an expectation that you are following all Minnesota State High School League bylaws that are in there. And the reason I say that is there's an example that I can give with a member school when it comes to the transfer rule, who's trying to do something different than what the Minnesota State High School League bylaws state. And in conversations I've had with the leadership of the Minnesota State High School League, they specifically have said, when you register to become a part of the Minnesota State High School League, you are following all of the bylaws that are a part of that piece.
Is there anything we can write into our athletic contracts?
So the high school league doesn't govern athletic contracts when it comes to the regular season. The high school league specifically governs postseason, which is sections and state.
Okay.
So when it comes to, again, any sort of section competition, it's all based on geographical location with where you're placed within that section. And then there's a seeding process that happens. And so you're playing those teams or competing against those teams from a seeding process. That then also happens at the state level for those teams who qualify at the state level. The regular season, all of the scheduling, again, the league, besides football, the league has a little bit of a say with district football because there's a period of time where schools could not find enough other schools to be able to play. So the league stepped in to be able to assist with football. And so the league has to give a stamp of approval when it comes to football. Every other sport, we're a part of what's called the South Suburban Conference. As a part of the South Suburban Conference, as ADs, we are, each one of us oversees a certain number of sports. And as conference coordinator for that sport, we create the schedule for our conference opponents within that sport. So again, we've got 10 schools. Every year we join the South Suburban Conference. We have 10 schools within that conference, and competitions happen within that. For each sport, there's a certain number of competitions that you can have. Most of our sports will fill to the max of what you can have. And so anything outside of the conference competitions, then it becomes a non-conference piece that we schedule. Usually it's coaches with my assistants, that what we look at in terms of who we schedule with our non-conference opponents. There aren't a lot of non-conference opponents. Typically, when we are scheduling any sort of non-conference competitions, the main things we're looking at is who else is in our section? Who's in our section that we would like to be able to compete against for seeding purposes that we're not necessarily seeing during our conference schedule.
Okay, thank you. I know there was a situation this year, I'm not going to name for confidentiality reasons, I'm not going to name the sport, but there was another school that canceled, decided not to play against our district. I don't know the reasons, but I heard it was something in the contract. So that's why I'm wondering if there's anything we can write in the contract that would protect our district from future litigation.
So conference schools don't have contracts at all. The only time you ever see a contract is with non-conference pieces that are in there. And like I said, our non-conference competitions are typically schools within our section that our coaches usually want to be able to compete against for seeding purposes for that piece. A contract in and of itself, really, again, when you're setting a non-conference contract, which again is very few competitions that we have to begin with, there's not a place or an ability to be able to have any sort of stipulations that you would put in there.
Do you have any suggestions on how we can protect our district?
Well, I believe that our district is very well protected to begin with. I think all of our student athletes who participate in our sports are doing so in a fair level with all of the schools with whom we compete. And I don't see an issue that we have within our programs at all with the teams that we compete against. Again, usually it's based on geography. When you're talking about Title IX and some of the issues that you're bringing up as a concern, short of somebody from my office or me contacting each one of those schools to find out what's there, which again, we don't have the time or the resources to be able to do that, I don't know what a solution would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know. It's, we're clearly in an interesting predicament, interesting times right now. And I appreciate your explanation. I clearly understand the importance of being a part of the MSHSL. The smiles of all the athletes, of the students, obviously, we wouldn't see that tonight. It wouldn't be possible if we're not part of the league. But unfortunately, our hands are tied. And we have to, like you said, we have to agree to abide by their illegal and harmful policies. And these have been in place for years.
Live in reality.
This is a meeting being held in public. It is not a public meeting. I would appreciate everyone just calming down. Thank you.
This is just all business. This is insane.
Ironically, I have been criticized by people in their community and by fellow board members for voting no. Yes, I voted no twice on this membership renewal. But without someone standing up at this board and raising awareness to the illegal policies of MSHSL, our community would not be aware of what signing this membership really means. And as a board director, we have an obligation to ensure that parents know their rights and that they ensure that as a district, we are creating a safe and fair experience for all students, including our female athletes. I also believe it's important for parents to understand that while we're an independent school district, we cannot control, like you said, what other districts' decisions and who a student may be participating at a state competition. I raised this concern back in 2023, and this year we watched as the Champlain Park girls softball team's transgender pitcher dominated their conference, which led to a state title and also brought a lawsuit and national attention to MSHSL's illegal and harmful policies. As I heard more about the Champlain Park softball team, I felt incredibly sad for both the team and for the transgender student. I continue to ask myself, where are the adults in the room? Where are the coaches to guide this student, to help them understand that biological males should not be competing on a female softball team? Why are the adults not protecting these trans students? So while we wait out the litigation and the investigations, my hope is that as a district, we will continue to stand up for our female athletes when they are feeling marginalized based on sex, and make the proper accommodations for girls who are uncomfortable sharing private spaces with biological boys, and advocating for them when they are forced to compete against a biological boy at a state or scholarship opportunities. Title IX was created and signed into law to prohibit sex discrimination and provide opportunities and protect equality and fairness for female athlete sports. It's the law, it's common sense, and it's what's right. Thank you.
And as 2 years ago, I was here talking about the transgender policy that is in the high school league, has been in there since 2016, I believe.
Correct.
And the policy that's in place, you know, certainly is a policy that every school district must follow when looking at transgender athletes. There are many, I shouldn't say many, there certainly are some bylaws that are in the high school league handbook that I don't necessarily agree with. I will say adamantly that just because I don't agree with those does not mean that I don't feel like we should belong to the Minnesota State High School League. And so for my ability to be able to say, yep, I don't necessarily agree with these, I still strongly support, obviously, us joining the Minnesota State High School League on an annual basis. And as I pointed out 2 years ago, for us not to be a part of the Minnesota State High School League, the implications of something like that would be devastating for this school district.
Yes.
Many families, including my own, would be exiting this district immediately.
Yes,
So-
I understand. Yes, thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the table. Director Johnson.
Director Marshall, I just want to say thanks for everything that you do. You and I have had ample discussions. I know everything, well, I don't know anywhere near the amount of things that you do, but just the discussions that we have had and the small little bit that I have had look into and the extensive amount of work that you do for every single student, every athlete that you do in our district is phenomenal. I know it's not you. You can't control MSHSL, the bylaws, all that stuff. I understand that they also, right, they sought knowledge from state level, right? And that's what they're following. So they're doing what they can, and you're doing what you can. So I just want to say thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for the knowledge that you're passing on to us. I really appreciate it.
Any further discussion or comments?
Yeah. I find it insulting that our students are called predicaments on the same night that we're honoring them. I too wonder where the adults are in the room sometimes as well. I will be voting to renew this membership. Our students are not predicaments.
Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of rejoining the State High School League signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. Moving on to the school year 25-26 milk and bread contract extensions and meal prices. Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair White, Board of Directors. I am covering for Emily as she's out at a training this week. But just letting you know that we plan to extend our contract with Bevso Beverage Company and Panel Gold Bread Company that we adopted a year ago. We'll be doing this for one more year. Also, just to inform the board that we had discussions, I believe, in June about some of our lunch prices. And so just at the end of this memo, you'll see that because of the Universal Meals Program that we participate in K-8, our lunches and breakfasts will be free at that level, along with Bridges ALC. And then, if you recall, we increased our high school lunch prices by 50 cents. Still keeping the grab-and-go free breakfast at the high school, but our lunch prices will be raised for the first time in many years to $3.75, which is still below the industry average, so.
Okay, thank you. Does that require action? I don't see it on here.
I think a vote, you have to, a vote for that, correct.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the milk and bread extensions and the meal prices for the next school year.
So made.
By Director Atkinson, second by Director Bullion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 7-0. Moving on to the resolution for acceptance of gifts, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair White, Board of Directors. This year, we have taken the liberty to put together a resolution on the front side of the school year. As you can imagine, throughout the school year, our PTCs and booster clubs and LEF are getting gifts and donations throughout the year, and we just can't capture every nuance gift that comes in. And so we're doing a blanket resolution at the beginning of the year, and then we'll follow up at the end of the year with a report of each PTC like we did at the end of this past school year. So whereas to not do all the thank yous and miss something throughout the year, we'll just do a blanket thank you on the front side and then give you all the report at the end of the school year. And that's what this resolution is for.
All right, is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So made.
By Director France, second.
Second.
By Director Bullion. This does, any questions or discussion? This does require a roll call. We'll start on the right side. Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Bullion.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
And Director Mason.
Aye.
And aye. That carries 7-0. Moving down to personnel items, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair White, Board of Directors. This evening, I am pleased to announce a couple of folks, a few folks this evening. First, I want to congratulate Mr. Tim Anderson, Dr. Tim Anderson. He is our new Executive Director of Academic Services. We are thrilled to bring his skills and talents of many years in various roles in academic leadership in a variety of districts here in the metro, and he officially started July 1 or shortly thereafter, and day 5, I believe. Day 5, all right, day 5 in the seat, and just really thrilled to have him on the team. I also want to introduce Miss Lisa Ryder, who comes from a very similar pedigree, if you will, of many years in the educational business leadership space. Most recently spent many years in Burnsville, stint in St. Paul, as well as most recently, I think, at Red Wing. And then also a CPA and school auditing experiences. So she's coming in with a variety of hats and lenses that I think are going to be very beneficial for us here, and welcome you. And this is day 1. So nothing like baptism by fire, board meeting. But we are definitely thrilled to have her join our team. So thank you. And then also, you may know Mr. Michael Knutson. He has been our assistant or director for assistant director of administrative services. He has graciously said yes to be the interim executive director as we go through the search process for a full-time and permanent position to fill Executive Director Herman's former role. And just for your information, those interviews will take place this Thursday and Friday. If all goes well, we'll hopefully have an offer out on the table by end of this week with an anticipated start date of perhaps the first part of August. But in the meantime, we are thrilled to have Michael 5, maybe? I can't remember how many Michaels are here in the district, but, M5, nice car too. Yeah, he is a great asset to the team, and just thank you, Michael, for stepping in during this time of transitional leadership. Really appreciate you. And so just wanted to introduce them to the board and to our community, and I am thrilled to be working with this dynamic team.
All right, thank you.
And I'm sorry, and then tonight, their approval that I seek. With that approval, we would also, or with the action that you all take tonight, we would be formalizing any changes. So any signatories, any policy committees or things of that nature, all of those name changes would go into effect as well. So,
okay, thank you. All right, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the candidacy of Dr. Tim Anderson as Executive Director of Academic Services, Lisa Ryder as Executive Director of Business Services, and Michael Knudsen as Interim Executive Director of Administrative Services. Is there a motion?
So made.
By Director Bullion, second.
Second.
By Director France. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 7-0.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yes, welcome, and thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. The board is being requested to take action on the neighborhood closure and facility consolidation recommendations that we have been discussing since the middle of May. And I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendations as presented.
So made.
By Director France, second by Director Bullion. Discussion.
Yes, I have some. I feel like this is a very large proposal with many moving parts, so just, I guess my ask would be to amend the motion and break it down into separate parts or decisions. I think, the first kind of most time-sensitive item would be to vote on the closure of Westwood and moving Loyola Del Lago into that school, as well as potentially the sale of DSC, but I feel like just, again, there's a lot of moving parts here, so I guess that would be my motion to break it down into separate votes like we did with the budget.
So there's a motion to amend, the motion to break. How do you want to break it up? I want to amend it properly if this is the will of the board.
Yeah, so I guess the first most pressing thing would be to vote on the closure of Westwood and moving Loyola Del Lago into that school. I think it allows more time for discussion on the relocation of DSC staff and where SAGE goes, the transition program, all these other things that have been introduced as part of this package. And I think it we're able to give clear direction to administration that way. And on the pieces that, we are moving or that we aren't, there's a few things, not on the deck that we've discussed over time. And then I think it allows us to, meet with our new leadership team and work with them on the direction also and making sure they're comfortable with the decision. It's, it feels like the pieces beyond that first vote are very long-term decisions that I feel like we could do further analysis on the enrollment projections and other financials impacts.
So just so I'm clear, the ask is to amend the motion to break off the closure of Westwood and the moving of Loyola Del Lago
into Westwood, yes, because that vote or that notification needs to happen by October.
Yeah. Point of information, Chair White, we're not closing Westwood.
I'm sorry, bad choice of words. As a neighborhood school.
We're closing it as an elementary school. We're actually transitioning it from an elementary to the immersion school, so we can't vote to close it.
Duly noted. All right, so is there a second then on that amendment?
A second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying. Sorry?
Well, I think this was brought up to, over email, and I think, I'm sorry, I don't have it pulled up, but my worry with this is that all things are related and tied together in this proposal. And I understand, there's pieces that, maybe we don't, particularly care for or anything, but everything is tied to each other. So my fear is that everything sorry, I don't want to say belongs. Everything is tied together. And so by parceling off parts of this, would take longer. I completely respect the fact that we have a new leadership team that we would want to talk, again, welcome. And all of that, but I think we've had a lot of this time to digest this, and I worry about parceling it off. Completely understand and respect that, but that's my worry with it.
I would second that. I agree that it was presented as a holistic plan, and there's financial codependencies in there that cannot be separated out. And if one passes and the other one doesn't, we end up almost in a worse situation financially as well as planning-wise, and also reporting-wise to the state. So it was presented as a plan. It's codependent within each other, and it would not be a good idea to start cherry-picking it off.
I would say just like the budget vote that we did back in February, where we did piece it off from February or from December, and then we got more information and reviewed it, and we took our time to analyze that. I think my concern about voting on everything that's in this package tonight is that there's a lot of moving pieces and puzzles to this proposal. And what if a levy passes next spring? What if we put a levy on the ballot? That definitely would have an impact on our plan, right? The other thing is enrollment. You know, back in 2017, 18, whenever it was, the district forecasted that we were going to be at 10,500 students. Students were not anywhere near that. We know that enrollment's not going to change that significantly, but enrollment does change. And so to be making a decision on what is really like a 2 to 3 year plan, it just doesn't seem wise, in my opinion. I feel like decisions could be made as we go, and engaging our new leadership team, I think, would be a great way to collaborate with them. And so that's my input on it as well.
Sure. White, can I
Absolutely.
just a couple of comments that were coming in? Excuse me. First, I just want to clarify, when we did the different phases of the budget, the rationale for the December vote was because of staffing calendar timelines, not the complexity of the budget, but we needed to get that decision ahead of any other decision so that we can move forward and be aggressive with our staffing. So little different situation here, although I understand the perspectives that a couple of you are putting forward. I will also say there is a lot of codependency in this plan. It is a comprehensive approach, and we looked at a variety of iterations of this and shared some of those different rationales as to why we landed where we were at versus some of the chunked out versions that you all are suggesting this evening. To your point, Director Atkinson, should the board entertain a levy and the community supports that, that's certainly a dynamic that the board could entertain at that time with that revenue source coming in to make a different decision. So again, I think you've got that built in terms of time. We also have the urgency of notification for MDE. So we've got kind of the inverse timetable coming that we've got to give notification as soon as possible, as well as notification to our families in the event that we continue to move forward down this path of the repurposing, redistributing of Westwood families to other neighborhood schools to give due notice so that families can begin to make some adjustments as well. So again, I think the complexity and the interdependency of this plan is such that I understand the comprehensive and complexity of it, but it is a package that we felt was our ability to drive the budget challenges that we have, still giving us some latitude to watch enrollment, and I concur. I don't think we're going to have a swing that we might have seen from 10 years ago or whatever it was, where we had some different projections. But certainly we would watch that and make any kind of modifications or adjustments and come back with different conversations for the board. But at this time, I think the administration stands comfortable moving forward with our initial recommendation, and turn it back to you, Chair, for the board's discussion.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, I would just like to add, another one of my concerns is, like, as a board, we are going to be going through a budget process and we need to set board priorities. And so, I mean, a lot of this right here is going to dictate the board priorities. So, I mean, my concern is that we haven't gone through that process. We haven't gone through the process of setting board priorities. We haven't gone through the process of setting budget priorities. And yes, I understand the MDE, which is, I think, why, Director Mason, you're just suggesting the one piece of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that allows us to notify the Department of Education. Personally, I don't feel like where we're putting DSE staff or bringing the other programs that we've talked about. I don't personally think that impacts that decision. for me, it's just, trying to take a deeper dive, and I know we've had different enrollment numbers, so we're trying to sort through those, and, what are we going to do with Greenwood as a building, and does it make sense to move administration in there, or can we, explore some revenue generating opportunities? My fear is, even with the levy, we are still making cuts, and we're not solving the problem right now with just this package. So, I think it's, again, just longer term, I would feel more comfortable with more research into that on those last pieces.
Thank you, Director Mason. I think there's some latitude to still encompass some of that conversation and kind of watch the numbers as they continue to evolve. I would absolutely agree that this does not solve our long-term issue. It's way bigger than our district. This is a statewide structural issue that's going to have to be addressed. But to the point of board priorities, we looked at the numbers, we looked at the forecasts, and this board gave us a directive to look at ways to reduce the budget. So that was the board directive, that was the board priority, so that's actually in this plan. I think the annual budget moving forward for next fiscal year, not this fall, but the following year, that's something that has yet to be determined in terms of some other board priorities. But the board gave us a directive to find ways to meet the 4.5 thereabouts in successive years, and so that's what this plan represents.
Any further discussion on the amendment? I guess I would just say that I would probably agree with you guys if we would have, as the administration originally suggested, voted on this on June 9th. Specifically why I wanted to postpone this vote for an extra, ended up being, I guess, 5 weeks, so that the things you're talking about could get parsed through, and we didn't rush to a decision. So I think that I can't imagine what could change between now and a later date. So I just want to make sure that that's out there. That is specifically the reason that we didn't vote on this on June 9th, because of those exact concerns.
Fair way to respect that, but in the last 2 weeks, most of our staff has been out on vacation. So it's been very difficult to get together. I actually wanted to tour the building with Director Powers and was not able to because he was out for 2 weeks on vacation. So and I think my biggest concern is the DSC move in fall of '26 from DSC to Greenwood. To me, when I'm looking at the enrollment projections, I mean, I'm not an expert at projecting enrollment, but we've seen some inconsistencies. And if we're going to be down 500 students in the next, say, 5 years, there's certainly going to be room in our buildings for our staff versus creating a separate space at DSC and investing in recreating Greenwood. So that, to me, is probably the one that's the farthest out, that I feel like until we get our handle on enrollment projections this fall, which is October 1st, it's not that far away, then we could evaluate those enrollments, where are we at, and then look at that decision.
Yeah, I hear that, and I would just say that the complexity in looking at how you would kind of fit the DSC, if you will, into vacant spaces, they don't vacate in an equal manner. So we're not going to have, we shared 22,000 something square feet that we would need to occupy, and we could even bring it down to 20,000 to make it an easy number to shave off some. 20,000 square feet is not going to be something that we're going to find space to occupy in one singular building. That's still current, even with the shifting of some of our enrollment over the course of 5 years. And to several of your points, that's what we see now. We also don't know what might happen with other revenue streams, what happens with the state, et cetera. So we know there's a lot of what ifs out there that none of us are, we're all speculating, but finding the ability, a couple of questions about secondary, we showed that the space utilization of rooms that aren't occupied by 3 periods or less throughout the entirety of the day is very slim. So we have about 6, I think, or so at the high school. And again, we're not going to fit the DSC in 6 classrooms or other buildings that we might have that would have certain grade levels that might be higher or lower, but it's not going to be a kind of a unilateral way of that we can clear a building. That's going to be some of the challenges of how we retrofit the DSC, which is why the recommendation that you see before you tonight does look at that in terms of an entirety of a facility, and not necessarily losing a facility should something happen, again, hugely positive that we get a surge. It's very easy to find commercial space, as we've talked about. We couldn't afford to build a school for some of the schools that we currently own. And so, again, offloading school real estate would be a higher risk in terms of our long-term sustainability and viability of future expansion, ebbs and flows of those. I think we have a cushion to hold. And if at some point, let's say a year from now, 2 years from now, we continue to see birth rates declining and all that, and so our enrollment continues to go down, and the board's like, you know what, Michael, I think your team needs to look at another sale of a building. What would that entail? Well, at that point, we would have to look at, what real estate do we have? What would we potentially be offloading? Where would we then, with central services, reallocate, and then would the priority be to kind of be chunking up? Because right now, one of the things that got asked about is, move departments, kind of all throughout the district. And we just talked about the complexity and the challenges of customer services, one-stop shop, if you will, for families who need to come in and get multiple supports from the central services staff as well. But again, that's ideal. If we find ourselves 2 years from now in a less than ideal situation, that might be the compromise that we have to make at that time. But until then, I think, Chair, you said it as well, that to move, so fast down that road of closing multiple buildings while we can watch and kind of evaluate with this plan, I think that's more of the prudent approach to take. And so with that, Chair, again, we'll, as an admin team, we still stand with this, and we'll turn it back for discussion.
Mary.
I just want to point out to the viewing public that we've had, I think, up to 3 months where this plan was first created and defended and fully elaborated on and built out. And we also discussed, as we talk about moving and changing on a regular basis, the cost of configuration is overwhelming and not acceptable. We can't just continue moving stuff. We were going to vote on this on June 9th, and one of the reasons why I wanted to vote earlier is so that we could put this particular building on the market. It was decided to wait another month, and basically that was a full 4.5 weeks of another month. It wasn't just 2 weeks. There have been questions. Every single one of them have been answered. I am fully comfortable with voting on this plan. And any movement or any variation in this plan is going to have a trickle-down effect that's going to cause even larger costs, more delay, and we need to get this going because we're wasting money when we don't have this plan in place. So in the interest of the budget, in the interest of the solvency of the school district, we need to actually make a decision tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just sort of counter what you said about, moving, and that's exactly my concern, is that this move is permanent, so we are investing in reconfiguring a building that may not potentially be there long-term, so are there other options? I've, taken the time and walked through the building with Director Powers, and I appreciate his time, and we've had a lot of conversation, all of us. I know that's, for me, just the piece that I'm uncomfortable with, so.
Yeah, and I would agree. And this building, nobody can move from this building until the students move in fall of '26. So that's a 1.5 years out. And I understand things take time, but, I would also, how many actual employees from DSC could fit in our current buildings, high school, middle school, but also, do you recall what the actual number was? I think there's 50 or 51 in this building.
Or so.
Because I know we've received a lot of emails on this and a lot of concerns from our community. And, one of the recommendations was, can your IT staff work from home? A lot of people are working from home nowadays and support our students in our district. So when you speak about, Dr. Thomas, when you mention this community, how do you say, customer service, how many actual people in this building are servicing families that walk into this building on a daily basis?
I don't have that number with me off the top of my head, Director Atkinson, but I can tell you there's constantly people out here for enrollment purposes, for iPad IT swap purposes, for meeting with HR, meeting with enrollment staff, like I said. There will be families that come in talking about school concerns that Dr. Anderson and his team will have to be meeting with. So there's constantly community in this building. I couldn't quantify that. And I'm sure Amy at the front desk, who primarily sits there, will tell you that she is constantly logging people in and out. So it's not just a matter of, I also want to be clear about this, because there's been emails about this. We're not looking for a convenient, nice spot for adults to offload on the backs of kids. I think the perception that's out in our community about that is something that has been skewed a little bit. We are not trying to move kids to make adults comfortable. That is not driving these decisions. We do know that we have real estate in our schools that we can adjust. That's a known fact. We can look at our enrollment numbers, and we've shared that in one of the slide decks. We've got the bandwidth there. We also have an opportunity to address some of our short-term budget shortfalls with the sale of this commercial property. Both Dan Powers and I have been in conversation with people, and it's not even on the market yet, who are already interested in inquiring about this space. So we know there's going to be interest, as other city officials I've had conversations with as well. Will it be a long-term solve-all? No, because there's a lot of issues way bigger than Prior Lake, as I've shared. But we can't cut ourselves out of this situation. This is not an expenditure issue. And so I want to be very clear that as we make some tough decisions, and I will be the first to say, I know these are tough decisions. I know these are impactful decisions. I would like to not make any of these decisions, but we're in this reality, and I can't put my head in the sand and pretend that things will just magically get better if we just wait. So we are making a recommendation for some really challenging decisions that are going to be impactful both to our students, our families, and many of our staff. For us to be able to move the DSC with the sale, use some of those proceeds to address some of the short-term budget stuff where appropriate, but then also be able to expand and co-locate in a school space with minimal retrofitting, if you will, not these permanent cement structured walls, et cetera, that should something happen in the future, we have our own internal folks who have been able to make something that's a little bit more flexible for usage, should we ever need to bring that back to a commercial space or to a school space. So I think we have done our due diligence to find ways to make some of the tougher recommendations to the board for your consideration to take action on, being a steward of the real limited resources that we have. Several of you have mentioned the possibility of a levy conversation. I think that's something that's also going to be a conversation that's going to be a part of our future at some point. But again, until those days happen, we are here. And I think what you have before you is a recommendation that I think is a good transition to still giving us some time to look and watch and monitor, as educators do, always progress monitoring and making adjustments as necessary. Our team coming in, they're well-versed. They've lived through this. I can tell you all three of them have been in districts prior to Michael joining us, but they've all been in districts where they've had to make these very decisions. They've lived through good times and real challenging times. So I'm confident that the team that we have will also be able to look at this data moving forward to make the best recommendations as we continue, our journey here in Prior Lake.
I'd like to make one more
Sure.
statement, and one of the things that was stated repeatedly was that once the DSC moves into Greenwood, it's planning on making that permanent regardless of the reconfigurations and enrollment increases or decreases. This is not something that they planned out to be short-term at all. If we continue to experience a decrease in enrollment, we have other consolidations and boundary changes that we can make, but the move, considering the infrastructure, data center, you name it, it's going into one building, and it's not planning on moving for, 10 years or greater, I think was the plan. So I am very comfortable with the plan that's in place. I'm not happy we have to make it, but I'm very comfortable with the plan that's in place.
Yeah, my concern is more for
clarification.
the students though too. If you're saying, you know, we're gonna close another building in 2 years, I mean, we've moved students from Westwood to, say, Five Hawks, and all of a sudden we move them back, like that's.
No, I didn't say we're gonna close another building in 2 years. I'm saying that the way that they planned this out and discussed it ad nauseum with the board was that here's where we're at. We don't plan on making significant changes to what we're currently doing with Lalo Delago and Westwood and the sales, the DSC building and the DSC moving into Greenwood. That is something they want to stay. They felt, and they went through various configurations where they said there's really no reason to change that, and gave an analysis of each of the other buildings in the process. So I feel fairly confident that what we're voting on isn't going to change. Other things may change long-term as the population's enrollment, funding levels expand and contract. But the moves that we're making right now were made very strategic, such that they are not planning on having to make any more changes to what we're voting on right now.
Yeah, and that exactly.
I want to make sure everybody has a chance here, so Amy and then Charles?
Sure, go ahead. No, you're fine.
Well, I was just gonna, I agree with Director Franson. I would prefer not to have to make this vote. I think we probably all could agree on that. I am very comfortable in voting. I am grateful for all of the discussion, I'm just grateful for the district staff listening and all the discussion that we've had. I do feel comfortable on voting it. I'm not comfortable with the second guessing of the district staff in all that they've done to forecast and come forth with their best case scenario. There's not going to be any perfect case scenario, but I do feel confident that this is the best case, or this is the plan, the best case scenario plan. Yeah, so. That's
Charles?
Has the decision been made to move the IT into?
Right now, we are looking at moving that into a permanent structure, so that would make one move and not continually move that around. So we are looking at a venue for a one-time move so that can just stay there. So, and is Marcus in here yet? Okay.
Yes.
Marcus, I know you were still getting additional information from some of our vendors. Did that get landed as of right now? Sorry, Director Johnson, just one moment.
Nope, you're fine.
Chair White, Board Directors, Dr. Thomas, Marcus Malazzo, Director of Technology. Yes, we are working with our fiber vendor, who's Nuvera, to see how many strands of fiber they have in the locales that would be that permanent solution, so that we do move that main only once. So we're working with Nuvera to see how many strands of fiber they have at various sites to determine that final location.
So I thought we talked about this and it was going to be at the high school, because that is our most permanent building is the high school.
Yeah, that's why I asked him to say, I asked Nuvera, how many strands of fiber do you currently have out
That's
there?
one of them that we're looking at. Yeah, that is like the ideal solution. But we have to look
But that
at some
hasn't
other-
been finalized, is
No.
what you're saying.
Right, we're waiting to see exactly what Mr. Marlhauser just said, yeah.
So I think that even gives more reason, here we are making this big decision, and 3 to 5, there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of moving parts here. So not even knowing where that data hub is going to be located is concerning to me. And I'm not trying to delay this vote, but, you say trust the administration. We do trust the administration. We're here to make the best vote, the best decision that we can, given the information that we're given. I think the concern is there's a lot of external pieces and parts, and there's a lot of external factors. Like I said, if we put a levy on the ballot, that changes the whole game. We don't get enrollment, we might be looking at closing another elementary school. I mean, there's to make a 3 to 5 year decision, I just think is not very wise, so.
We're not making a 3 to 5 year decision, and as an IT senior level professional, I totally agree, Marcus, with what's going on. and agree that the final demarc point will be the final demarc point. So, and I don't believe that has any impact upon the decision we have today, other than the fact it'll be the final demarc point.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the table on the amendment to, I'm sorry, Jess, did you have
That was my question. Can you please restate the motion?
the motion to accept the presented plan for the neighborhood closure and facility consolidation. There's a motion to amend that to vote on only the moving of the OLA to Westwood and the DSC sale, the sale of the DSC. So that's, they want that pulled off of the plan to be voted on at a later time. Is that clear as mud?
So we need a vote,
Yes.
on the motion to amend.
Correct. And there's a motion and a second at the table to amend the recommendation for the whole plan. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Motion fails 4-3. And then we also have a motion and a second on the table to accept the administration's neighborhood closure and facility consolidation recommendation.
So made.
I think there's a motion and a second on the table currently, right? Yep. Okay. All in favor? Or do you have
Aye.
more discussion?
Can we have a discussion
You
very
may.
quickly? I just, a couple of things. When we came into this district, we started as a red tail family through open enrollment, and then we moved to Westwood when we moved. And I can tell you, I love the way that building smells. Especially on Cinnamon Roll Day, I think, as a lot of people can attest. I love the way it's, and I know we're not shuttering a building, I understand that. But closing a neighborhood school is not something that any of us take lightly. That is a family, that is a community, these are kids you grow up with, their parents you grow up with, teachers you grow up with, administration you grow up with. And, you know, the last time we had to do a boundary change, our family moved to Hamilton Ridge. Completely different situation, but a boundary change. And I love the way that school smells too, and how it's constructed, and it's a family, and it's all the things. And so this is not something where, I just want to put it out there that this is a decision you lose sleep over. I can safely say that for me. This is not something where, I think I've said it once before, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I wish I can close a school today. And it's heartbreaking that we're in this situation. But we are. And nobody wants to make these decisions, but we have to. And I really applaud the staff, because the staff doesn't want to do this either. And I appreciate all of the thought that has gone into this proposal. And this is a proposal, or I should say the items in it, mostly, have been talked about for a year now. This vote last November, it failed. We were very clear, we were very transparent. These are options that could happen. And now, we weren't bluffing. And I don't want to be dismissive or anything in my language there. This stinks, and nobody wants to make this decision, but we have to. And I applaud the staff and to the Westwood family that is going to be split up. That's heartbreaking as well. And it's not lost, I think, on any of us, that kind of situation. So I just wanted to put that out in the ether, that this is really hard, and this is the decision, one of the most important decisions we're going to make this year. I appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
One clarifying question is around SAGE, just because I don't think it's in the deck, correct me if I'm wrong. We are keeping those kiddos at in the Westwood building
Right, we're keeping them
until
together
they're.
into that last cohort.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I agree. Both my kids have been at Loyola and Westwood, and that is, our circle of friends and family and all the things. So, I've had many conversations with parents and staff members and whatnot about this move, and it is a very difficult decision. My daughter will not be happy either. So, I appreciate that comment, Director Olstad, and I certainly agree with that. For me, as I've stated, I'm supportive of the closure of Westwood, moving Loyola to that building. I think it does provide opportunity for Loyola Del Lago to grow a bit, and I think for me, I just struggle with, the long-term direction of Greenwood. So that's where my vote will go.
Yeah, and I will say, I appreciate what you said, Director Olstad. This is a tough vote, and my student also attended Westwood, and Westwood Sage in particular. And I've been pretty vocal up here on the board table that I fully support the Sage program, and I'm going to be very sad to see that program go away, because I understand what we're doing, and we're going to add extra supports in our schools, but that's not Sage Academy. It's not Sage Academy as it sits today, and it's not going to be Sage Academy in the future, and I'm very, very heartbroken by that. Well, I think it needs to be said that when our district was built, when we built 2 new schools back in 2020, basically 5 years ago, our district was projected to have 10,544 students as we sit here today. And the reality of it, folks, we have 8,500. So regardless of a levy vote, and that is a fact, regardless of a levy vote, we would have been tasked with being fiscally responsible and making a consolidation. So this is not just because the levy vote failed. And we are here to make a decision to consolidate a district that was overbuilt. And that board made the best decision given the information they did that time. But because of COVID and a lot of different other factors, we don't have the enrollment that was projected. And so while I support the consolidating of the elementary schools, I have a lot of concerns with moving this building, the staff in this building, to Greenwood, and my vote will reflect that. Thank you.
Chair White, I want to correct, we are not in the situation we're in enrollment because of COVID. We're in our situation we're in because of the birth rate that is sunk for the entire state, it is sunk for the entire nation. So this is something that is, we can't make people have more babies. It's the 30-year birth cycle that we're currently experiencing, and that can change. It can change, and it does change, and we've seen it change throughout the United States over the years. So it's also dependent upon migration into the state based upon businesses coming and going and all that. That is out of our control. So I would just want to make it clear that that while things are the way they are right now, they are the way they are for every school district. It is not us, and it wasn't COVID. We can't make people have more babies. So, things can change. They may change. School districts do not operate on a dime. It takes years to adjust in one direction or another. And I have every faith in the administration and the truly ad nauseum level of analysis that went into this decision and all the different nooks and crannies that were discussed and emails that came in and the answers that were made. And I have 100% confidence that we're making the best decision we know right now and planning for variations in the future so that we are not preempting bad decisions. We are leaving those options flexible. And therefore, I truly support this plan. It is not a plan I hope we'd be in, but it is where we are today, and we're making the first major adjustment that hopefully will keep us solvent in the next couple of years also, as well as adapt to and be able to support our students and our families as best we can.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table for the plan as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-3. on the agenda is the long-term facility maintenance 10-year plan. Director Powers.
Good evening, Chair White, Superintendent Thomas, members of the board. This is the second look at that we've got for the LTFM budget that we're having for this coming year. Were there any questions that anyone had seen from that one that was presented?
I would just ask, are there any big changes that you can point out to?
There will be a change coming that will be, we'll be modifying it to resubmit to the Department of Education. The only big change was the loading docks that I was intending to rebuild for this year. We ended up needing civil engineering, so that's going to change the price significantly. So I will be taking that off of this year when we go for to resubmit it to the Department of Education, and then we'll look at that for in future years. Total on that is a little over $320,000. So we will end up being under the original projected budget that we had for the MDE recommendations.
Thank you.
Where were those at?
There should be 3 different locations: Glendale, Hidden Oaks, and Five Hawks.
Dr. Powers, can you elaborate? Was there some change in legislation about, I thought I read about us being able to use LTFM funds to replace roofs? Like new legislation passed that we could use, is that correct?
It was mostly on how the funding could be done.
Okay.
We've always been able to use LTFM funds for roofing.
Okay.
It's just if we have a roofing project that's designated, we can actually go separately for that funding than previously.
Okay, so there was a change.
Yeah, there's a change. We'll have to see. I'll talk with Lisa and we'll work through to make sure we've got Director Ryder and I are familiar with each other. So we will make sure and work through all those changes to make sure we can fit it as best we can.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the 10-year LTFM plan as presented.
So made.
By Director Johnson, second by Director Bullion. Sure. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry. This requires a roll call. Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Bullion.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
And Director Mason.
Aye.
And aye. Motion carries 7-0. Before we go on to new business, why don't we take 5 and come back at 8:06. I'll entertain a motion for a recess.
So made.
By Director Johnson,
Second.
second by Director Atkinson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one.